reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're listening to LOTRO Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Audible.com. Check out the newest audiobooks at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Use the coupon code MMO Reporter at checkout and get a free solid-state drive with your next PC.
Welcome to LOTRO Reporter, episode 300. I am your host, Carrie, and I am joined by some special guests this evening. First of all, we have, as always, until this evening, Layanor. How you doing, Layanor?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Did you put on the formal nut pants tonight? Okay. Moving on. We are joined all the way from the cold north, Chris.
Brr, it's cold. It's actually not. It's really, really warm right now. It's like
That
above
might be where
zero.
my pants is.
I hope not. I would hope they're a little closer than that. I'm a little scared now that your pants are stalking me.
Oh dear. Oh
Looking
dear.
over my shoulder.
And we have a special guest this evening who decided to join the zoo. Rick Sapience Heaton. How you doing, Rick?
I was doing great until I learned that Layanor's pants are stalking Chris, and he's apparently pantless. Now I'm just scared out of my mind.
Yeah. Welcome to the fun. All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hey,
Can you believe?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can you believe we made it to 300 episodes?
It's a little scary. A little bit scary.
It's just like the movie.
It's just there's a movie. Who plays me? I bet you it's Matt Damon. Matt Damon plays me, doesn't he?
Take that bet.
Hey, can I play something from a long time ago? Let's see if I
Sure.
can get it here. Okay, you ready?
First MMO I ever really played was
Oh,
Asheron's
wait,
Call.
here we go.
and
Almost. There's our first theme song ever. First theme song ever from LOTRO Reporter. And then there was Bill and I kind of chatting. All formal like, because we were scareded.
On account of cuz pro.
Yeah, we were so pro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lord of the Rings Online Reporter.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
I've been,
Chris.
Layanor have been
And
doing
I'm
this
Bill.
150 episodes, and we
Yeah.
decided we're still not professionals.
No, we're not.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that it's gotten this far. Bill and I were just sitting around trying to figure out what we were going to do because we wanted to do something, a podcast. We were really into LOTRO. Our wives were really into LOTRO with us. We'd actually started with DDO, and then we got into LOTRO, and we wanted to podcast because we like to listen to podcasts, and we wanted to do that too. Yeah. And here we are, and I can't imagine the first few times when we like the overly formal messages that we sent to Turbine saying, "Hi, we would like to inquire if the possibility were to perhaps happen that we might be able to interview one of your fine employees."
These guys are Canadian.
The great thing is that's really not that far off from how they were worded.
Yeah, no shame. I is polite. Oh man, but it was crazy times back then. I mean, it was only a couple of years after the game had launched, and how many years? Okay, so what year is LOTRO in now? What year is this?
8.
8?
8.
Going
So
into
yes,
9.
6 years.
Oh.
LOTRO Reporter's been going. That's kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like 2 less than 10. That's incredible.
Oh,
Or
So-
you want to think about it. Almost a decade.
Oh my gosh, we're closer to a decade. Yeah.
See, now Chris isn't wearing pants either.
Yeah, well, I have to change them now. But here's the thing. I remember, we're at 300 now, and I remember when we passed 32, because that was the biggest number of shows that any other LOTRO podcast had done. And that was, what was it? What was her name? A woman who did it, solo.
Green Dragon Inn?
No, that she worked with us for a while. Before that.
Yep, and I can't remember her name.
Yeah. But she got to 32, and we're like, oh, well, I don't know if we're going to get that far. But, it got kind of crazy. And then we passed that. And then it was the race to see who was going to be to 100 first with CSTM, and they beat us.
Yeah. Yep.
They
Well, you guys put off 100 for like 6 months, didn't you?
Well, Bill was away because there was some home stuff going on. So, yeah.
I was so scared to record that clip for episode 100.
Oh,
And
I remember that. Oh, I remember that because I had problems too. Okay, go on.
I was terrified, and I wrote Chris because he says, we're getting ready to put this together. I said, well, can you give me another day? I was going to record something. He's like, sure. I'm thinking they must have 50. No, I think they had 4, but still, I was terrified.
I actually had my friend's cell phone to call in a did you know at that time, and I didn't know that he was going to get charged for it.
Oh.
It's okay. He's got charged in Canadian. It was like 12 cents.
So true. So true. And then only 50 episodes later was our recording at the Turbine Party at PAX Prime.
Yeah,
where
at GameWorks.
Yeah, we brought out I remember lugging that sound system up those stairs, and yeah, and I think wasn't that when we first talked about you joining the show, Carrie?
No, that was the year I ended up stalking you guys accidentally at PAX, because every time you would turn around, there I was, and I didn't intend that. And then you asked me to come on later that year for kind of a fill-in for the holidays. And then the following January is when you're like, hey, would you like to be a host?
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like it was not that long ago.
No,
So
I was 4 years ago now.
What was it like dealing with this community? Because it was a fairly vibrant community, but it was a cyclical community with LOTRO, Rick. At the launch of the game, it would be very cyclical. You'd get a whole bunch of stuff, and then it would die off for a little, and then a whole bunch of stuff again, and die off again. And I remember seeing that probably 3 or 4 of these cycles of a whole bunch of sites and podcasts popping up, and then coming back down, and popping up and coming back down. And really, us and CSTM, and then later on, LOTRO players were the only ones who've kind of stuck around. So what was it like on the community end of things with that?
I guess it was kind of sort of expected. I mean, MMOs sort of have that cyclical nature. People churn in and they churn out, and then they come back and then they go out again. So obviously any kind of, fan-based coverage like a podcast or a website or something is going to follow that cycle as well. It makes forecasting things a nightmare, but even that, after a while, you kind of get a vibe on, if we do X, they'll do Y. And if we do, X 3 times, they'll do Y 3 times. So it'll kind of balance out in terms of, you release content, they come. You have a dearth of content for a while, they go. Then you release content, they come back. So it's kind of true for every MMO. I'm actually seeing, I've got a bunch of friends that work at various game studios, and I actually see the same kind of stuff with like first-person shooters, online shooters. Mm-hmm. There'll be the big spike, and then everybody goes away, and then a new map comes out, and then everybody comes back. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast that things like that happen. I think what it says more, especially on the fan site and podcast end of things, it's the people that, like you guys have sort of stuck with it, regardless of what the content cycle looked like. It just speaks more to your desire to make a good product on your end that's consistent, reliable, where people can always go and say, hey, even if I can't get news out of Turbine directly or out of whoever directly, I can go to this source and they'll give me the latest that they have.
Well,
so it's
And it was funny because a lot of our biggest bits came out of weeks when nothing was coming out of Turbine. And we're like, what the hell are we going to talk about? And some of our biggest bits have come out of that.
Yep, and that's kind of exactly what I mean about it. It shows the dedication on your guys' part, where other podcaster sites or whatever go, well, there's nothing to talk about, so I'm not going to do any work to come up with something to talk about. But you guys did and do.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and some of the in jokes like now, and it started with Turbine, talking about Turbine. Every show that we do, at least every show I'm on now, we talk about the developers listening to the shows over the phone PA systems at every developer. Because they all listen to this show, right?
There's some truth to that. I'll just leave that there. But there is some truth that, of course, developers listen to podcasts.
Yeah,
it's another avenue to hear what players are thinking, and guys like you that run, especially as long-lived a podcast as this. You guys have influence. You may not think you do, or you may, sort of poo-poo the idea, but you do. And if it's interesting, from a community management standpoint, to watch how you choose to use that sometimes.
Yeah.
Intentionally or unintentionally.
I've got some clips to play. I've got some clips to play in a bit. But I don't think I've ever
head hitting a desk.
I don't think I've ever been this scared. A thought just came into my brain that Layanor has influence.
Oh.
And I've never been this scared in my life.
Yeah, it's pantsless influence.
That's right.
It's
you don't
better
need
or
much
worse.
power.
I don't know. I don't know which way that goes. And for anybody else that's thinking about, is even getting into LOTRO at this age in its life, I think that would you agree, Rick, that you can't hesitate to contact community managers and the developers thinking you're just a show? Everybody was always so excited to be able to talk to us when obviously when there was stuff that you could talk about, or even just come on and do a general discussion and stuff like that. But that first hurdle of fear of, well, I'm just this tiny little show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that that's...
Yeah, no, totally. I would absolutely agree with that. It's one of those things where if you don't ask, you're not going to get, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is, and this applies to everything, and not just Turbine, because I'm sure things are pretty much still the same there, but to any game developer, any organization really that you want to get someone to come on and speak in an official capacity. Understand basically that there may be times where they can't talk about anything. There may be times where they can only talk about very specific things, but you'll almost always find someone who is willing to talk about something. It may not be what you want to talk about, but they can probably weave their way through the minefield of what they are and aren't allowed to talk about to give you some decent content. And most developers and community managers especially will say yes if they have the time. And don't ever assume that because someone said no that it's you or that it's your listenership or viewership or whatever. It's more than likely something going on at the studio, or they just can't find someone with free time for the time you need them to record. It's almost never you,
Yeah. Okay, let's get on to some memories that we've got from the show. And Rick, you've mentioned a couple of different things that you remember. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about sort of your memories of 300 shows of LOTRO Reporter? I know you've listened to every single one regularly.
299 because I haven't heard this one yet.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
See?
Yeah.
See?
I understand.
Well, I just want to say it's really cool that this is happening around the holidays, because this kind of feels like coming home a little bit. And you always go home for the holidays, right? So thank you for thinking of me and inviting me to this. I think everybody kind of has like their own sort of memories, and as with all things, we all sort of remember things a little differently, even though we shared the same experience. It's like, well, I don't ever remember Layanor not having pants. Apparently it's a thing. So had I known that, I would probably said no more often. But
and you were our second interview on the show. Our first interview that we were so excited about was the developer of LOTRO Herald, the app that called on the API, and we were so excited about that to have him on. And then I was so not mad, but just like, oh darn it, like shoot, because CSDM got him first, and we were like the next week. I know they scooped him. How dare they? But it was really cool to have you on. All those, because we've had you on quite a few times. I know you're one of the people. Whenever I'm at any PAX, I know you're going to be there, so I hunt you down and make sure that we have a conversation. And it's always fun to talk because you do have so much experience in the gaming industry, and you've always been so free with your time and your energy and your support for everything that we do. So it's always fun to see you.
Yeah, I always have just taken the approach that, if there are no players and there are no fans, then there is no job. So why wouldn't you make time, for the people who want to hear from you and talk to you and meet you or give you weird food?
I don't think I've ever given you weird food, but I have.
No, you haven't, but there's been some.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm sure there have been. It's always so interesting to see the LOTRO community because it is different than any other game community, and that has to do with the source material, that has to do with the game that Turbine built, that has to do with the community that you and Patience created right from the very get-go. And it's just a whole different world than covering any other game. So it has some eccentricities to it.
That's a good word.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it really does, and it's funny. I'm sitting here, at my desk, and obviously it's been over a year now since I was part of that. But still, in view of where I sit at my desk, there are 3 mugs in front of me that were all made by members of the LOTRO community. One's from the Landreville coffee crew. To thank me for getting coffee put in the game. I've actually got a super nice mug from the Russian LOTRO community.
Wow.
And I have a really nice mug with a poem that was written for me on it and sent to me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I mean those sit at sort of eye level and in plain sight at all times, so I always see them. So all the things that community did are still very much appreciated by me because you're right. It was and is a community unlike any other.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to some other things. Rick, we really appreciate your time. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like, but I understand it's very late there on the East Coast, so if you need to head out, that's completely understandable.
I can hang for a little bit if you'll have me.
Absolutely. Carrie, why don't you start talking about some of your favorite moments from 300 episodes of LOTRO Reporter?
Yeah, sure. One of my most recent one was when I had reached out, terrified to reach out to Andy and say, hey, can I interview you? And he's like, sure, I might have a surprise. And the surprise was the executive producer. So we had a great chat for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes about the future of LOTRO and things that were changing. And I do hope to get to talk to them again in January and see where things are going from there. But that was a blast. One of my other favorite memories is the Helm's Deep launch night that we had that Rick was on. Yeah, and getting lost a lot, which is normal for me. So don't ever follow me anywhere in any ever in any MMO.
Yeah, I remember that was a fun night too. That was yeah.
That was a blast. That was the first time I think Chris had ever seen me actually mess around. He hadn't played with me much, really, and he was a little surprised to see me fainting in front of Aragorn and jumping up and down on stuff. And he's like, "What?" Like, dude, just go with it. One of my other favorite things, and I think you have this clip, Chris, is did you want to play it?
I do. Here we go. Why don't you do you want to intro it first?
Yeah, it was Warrior Podex had sent us an email, and I believe Layanor dramatically read it, and then we played it for him at our PAX meet and greet 2 years ago.
All right, here we go.
Pulling myself from the mire of the battlefield, I have returned from the Great War of 246 episodes. The words, point of Scrooge, have been chiseled into my armor, blackened by the fires of destruction, and bloodied with the veiled will of my many foes. I am a champion of Eredor, master of arms, and harbinger of retribution. From Bree to Mirkwood, I have traveled. Over the bridges of Rivendell and under the golden leaves of Lothlorien, beyond the hills of Dunlin and across the plains of Rohan. These places I have seen, and I have conquered. All around me, the echoes of LOTRO Reporter I heard, like great eagles above, wings spread wide among the thunderous clouds.
Get off my lawn! Hey, get out of here! Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn, yeah, my lawn too. If my lawn was here, I'd tell you to get off. Where's my stick?
These words pierce the air, sharply penetrating the morale of the enemy. Onward, Genghis I! Onward, Genghis II! Dive forth deep! Find your honor and your... Oh, wait, where did they go? A man I found, broken and scarred. Twigs and leaves from a bush protruding from various elements of his person. Come back, I shouted, as he ran. Come back, oh intrepid one. For maybe he can find the missing warden's pants, so that we may save Layanor's chair from further dread. +7.
Wow, Layanor. I think you've left me speechless.
That was a pretty good dramatic reading. Yeah, that was awesome.
My voice was like all harsh after that.
I bet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and then my other favorite memory was watching you guys go a little crazy at the PAX Prime Turbine Party with episode
150?
200.
Oh, 200.
150. It was 150.
150, yeah, 150.
Yeah.
Good job, by the way, Warrior Prodex. You're in the chat room there. Well done.
He is, yeah.
And yeah, that was crazy. And correctly pronouncing Mithril.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if Ameva is in the chat room there, but...
of course Ameva is in the chat room.
There we go.
Remember that.
Yeah, but he won. And that was that was the first time we went to PAX. I found for like $5, they had box copies of the original Shadows of Angmar. And so I bought like 5 of them and got you guys to sign them at that PAX. When you very, very kindly gave us that Hobbit breakfast passes for War in the North, which is still my favorite food that I have had ever anywhere. That was the best food I've ever had at PAX.
Yeah, that was quite a spread.
Oh my god! Well, and it's a Hobbit breakfast, second breakfast, right? Of course, it was quite a spread. But yeah, so that was the last one of those boxes that we gave away at that party. So that was really cool.
I think Ameva got it, right?
Yeah, he did. He totally did. Yep. Yeah, it was the Mithril edition. All right, Layanor, some of your favorite memories.
I have a few. I'll just kind of go down the list. There's no like number one favorite moment or low favorite moment. One of my favorite moments is my third time I was actually on the show, and I wasn't official yet. I wasn't officially on the show, but Bill just had me on because Chris was sick, and my kinship had dared me to say meow 20 times on the show.
And we still hired you
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I had so much fun with that. It was, and I couldn't tell if Bill was getting mad or not. That's how professional he was.
It's
But
hard.
I was saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, I was in Meow the Kin last week, Meow, and I went to do a raid, Meow, with everybody, Meow." And Bill just was quiet, never said anything. He didn't add on to it. He just watched it and let it die.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna jump a bit because I think this is a great bit talking about Bill getting angry to play one of my favorite memories, and I feel a little sheepish doing it now, but no shame with Rick here. This is when we were talking about the Riders of Rohan packages.
Oh, geez.
The episode we entitled "Ranters of Rohan," and this is Bill's thoughts on the packages that were available for Riders of Rohan.
And finally, this was the biggest kick in the pants that what you get for buying the Heroic Edition, and you don't even get this with the Legendary Edition. They were smart enough to leave it out of the Legendary Edition to give you 4 or 3 quest packs: Evendim, Moria, and Lothlorien. Okay, you know what? Really wonderful for people who are free-to-play players, and maybe I have a misguided view of the number of people who are free-to-play compared to subscribers, but this is 100% useless for somebody who's got either a lifetime account or a subscription. Who cares? How is that even valuable in any way, shape, or form? Leave that in the store. Put it on sale or something. Don't make it part of the incentive to actually pony up for these pre-order packs.
Yeah. So that's what angry Canadians sound like, everybody. That's what we sound like. So yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, we went on for a good that was a good 15 minutes, and that was the start of it. Yeah, that was Bill getting angry. That's the angriest we get.
I'll just say that the volume and wording of PMs and emails I received over Riders of Rohan were far more ranty than that.
My next moment is oh, go ahead.
No, I just said, and those were written, and they were.
My next moment's actually Bill as well, because this is that wasn't the angriest. The second most angriest, or no, the number one angriest moment was when Bill was mad that Turbine's contests weren't for Canada.
Oh yeah.
That one was, Bill got real mad on the show, and I called him Bill the Knife after that. And that was my favorite moment as well, because Bill just went crazy on it. The next couple of things are interviews that I did. I was with you guys, and we interviewed the main guy for the Lonely
L&B, yeah.
Mountain Band.
Yeah,
What's
it's
his name? I can't remember his name.
Harperella.
Yes. Okay, and then the interview that I did with Yand when that was a player that was in the Ettenmoors for years and years and finally got to rank 15. And that was a really good interview because he talked about all the kinds of things that you have to do to get people together and follow orders and just a lot of problems that you have along with that, with other people trying to find out things that are going on in your group and other things such as like patch notes and stuff that will just suddenly change everything that you're doing in the moment. Even when like the patch is already out, it's been out for like 3 weeks, and somebody says something along the lines of, "Oh, hey, this is overpowered now. Nobody knows about it." Boom. The whole entire PvP area is like crazy again because people are using that advantage, So that whole interview was just awesome talking to him about that. I think that was a whole hour.
It was.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was a good show. I remember that.
The next one is when Carrie and I first did the show without Chris. Chris was sick, and we were completely nervous.
Yeah.
We weren't ready. We were not ready, but we had to do it anyway, and we did it.
Wrong game, but you were not prepared. Sorry, I
No, we
went
were
there.
not prepared.
Yeah, I played the first show. You have to admit that everybody's not prepared. And that didn't get better. Hey, what was it? Episode 24. We still weren't sounding much better. Here's our intro at that point. You ready for it? Wait for it, Rick. You'll like this one.
Hi, this is Rowan from Turbine.
Hi, this is Sapience from Turbine, and you're listening to the LOTRO Reporter.
See how I sync that up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of LOTRO Reporter. This is episode 24. I'm Chris, and as
God. Okay. Yes, that's
It's like you're introing Masterpiece Classics or
yeah,
something.
I know, right? Oh man, and that's
Reporter.
24 episodes in, so that's a few months in, right? We weren't even weekly at first, so. Oh. And now we will be talking about the news.
Well, I was told my first hard review sounded like I was reading BBC News.
That's not a bad thing.
So, yeah, but it was supposed to be exciting and fun, and yeah, I was reading the news.
Yeah, everybody's like that. I remember my first submission to PC Gamer, and Josh Augustine just sent it all back saying just rewrite the whole thing because it sounds like you're writing a paper for your 8th grade English teacher. Thanks, Josh.
Isn't that the hardest thing in the world?
Oh,
That you're so stoked that because I used to write for various places, and it was just when it would come back and it'd be like, look.
yeah.
It's like, crap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. And that all came out of LOTRO Reporter. And the year, I went up and talked to the people at PC Gamer because we had the LOTRO podcast and they wanted to talk because I think the expansion was coming out then or something like that. So they wanted to talk about LOTRO. And so they invited me onto their podcast. And then Josh afterwards said, "Hey, have you ever played Aeon?" I'm like, "Sure I have."
Tomorrow.
Let me download it right now.
Exactly. And so I did my first story on Aeon because I was an expert. Sorry, Josh. Yeah. Okay, Layanor, sorry, we keep interrupting you.
That's okay. I'm used to it. Mama Set sent in this great poem called "Bird and Frog." Do you guys remember doing that?
Yes.
Yes.
The tutelage of the language master, Mr. MMO Set.
And we all had to do it in Elvish.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Did we play it live at a meetup, didn't we? I don't remember.
No, we recorded it for a show that he was on. It was for the
Right.
Extra Life.
Right. That's right. Now I remember.
It was the prize
Yeah.
for Extra Life, and yeah.
I remember.
I'm
now.
sorry.
I think we're all
It
sorry.
sounded fine in my head. My mouth wouldn't say it correctly.
And it was a story, not a poem. Thank you very much. Thanks,
It was, yeah. And it was
Okay.
lovely.
My next one, I'll see if Chris remembers this or not. This is quite a while ago. This is before I joined the show, even like the early shows, and I was only checking out the podcast for like a few episodes, and then you guys said that you were going to go to PAX. Do you remember the letter that I sent in to you guys that Bill read on the air? That was me asking to go to PAX with you guys, all in broken English that I called Canadian.
I don't remember that at all. But I'm sure it was epic.
I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I would have just had it on the show. It was awesome. It sounded terrible, too. Okay, and my last one is the amount of joy, I guess. The amount of joy that happened when I edited all of the Hobbit episodes together from all of the LOTRO Reporter segments put them all together and put them on live for our April Fool's special. Nobody knew it was coming. I didn't announce it.
He didn't even tell me.
Yeah, I was just like, we're going to play this.
Yeah. And do you remember the, oh gosh, what was our PVMP segment called? Oh, God. We had the guys from the other podcast through the Palantir.
The guys, through the Palantir.
Yeah. And we did because they did all their stuff in character. So we had the hobbits meet through the Palantir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I think that was part of the thing. I was so confused what PVMP meant. Because nobody ever explained it on the podcast. And I'm like, what is this? And I Googled it and it didn't help.
I think I'm still confused as to what PVMP is. But what I'm not confused about? What I'm not confused about in any way?
Yeah? What's that?
Oh, that's not the one. That
End play, I told you so.
That? I'm confused now.
End play, I told you so.
About it.
Thank you, Endang, for sending that in, because...
End play, I told you so.
That's right. So all that.
Can I just say that when that became a thing, Aaron kind of wandered around the building, just like drive-bying my desk going, they're going to be so stoked. It was great. We just randomly drive by and play. It got to the point where I think we had a certain, and by we I mean Aaron and I think we had a certain amount of fear that you wouldn't believe us because it had become such a joke.
Oh man, yeah, that was, and I think we got to see that pretty early, so that was great. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that was part of the excitement for us. Was it's like the guys at LOTRO Reporter are going to get to see it first.
Yeah.
Today's the day.
Explode and everything. It'll be great.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun, and the fact that it never died. Like every single episode, every single interview, every single time we saw each other, anytime we got any sort of audio or video, the last question would always be, when are we getting end play? And there was, as Emma said, is saying in the chat room, now there was a lot of discussion about Ent foreplay. And we never got there. We never went there.
The Ent wives are missing.
The prequels.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Peter Jackson will go back and re-edit. He did.
The real reasons why the Ent wives left.
What, no Ent foreplay? Oh man. And of course, connecting with Turbine at PAX every year was just so big, such a big part. We always scheduled everything we could around meeting Turbine because it was always so much fun to talk to you guys. To everyone on the team, it was from the DDO team to the LOTRO team to the MOBA team with the DC game. I mean, it was all fantastic.
Infinite Crisis.
Thank you. And the biggest thing, the one thing I remember is the free-to-play announcement when it came out. I was on holiday in Vancouver, and I had to make a decision of just, you know what? I have to let it go because I was with my wife in Vancouver, and we just weren't going to do anything. And we talked about it, and the first thing that I thought of is, you know what? I need to talk to my friend over from formerly from DDO Cast and chat with him about it because he's been through this before with Turbine and what the whole experience was like. And I know that was probably the biggest deflator of any anxiety that I had about the whole transition was chatting with him about that because he was nothing but positive. And this was before he worked for you. Or for them. It's not you anymore.
It's funny, and you're speaking to Jerry, and
yeah.
I was going through stuff the other day. I actually still have, and I told him this, so if he hears this, he won't be shocked. I was one of the people that originally interviewed him at Turbine, and I have his thank you note that he wrote and sent to me. And I was just going through old stuff that I had pulled out of a desk, and I still have his thank you note for interviewing him and allowing him the opportunity to potentially become part of the team, and then obviously he did become part of the team. It's pretty good. He actually when he first came up here, one of the things you do in the game industry is you move a lot, and that means you end up in places without a home. So he actually stayed with me for the first couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yep.
He is just a genuinely nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, we do have some submissions from stuff. Which one do you want to play first, Carrie?
Let's go with Braxwolf.
Okay, so this is a message from Braxwolf.
Hello, LOTRO Reporter. This is Braxwolf, and I heard you guys had a big milestone coming up. Yes, it is 300 episodes, and congratulations on 300. I'm going to do a little quick math here, because I think I'm catching up to you guys. Let's see, I am at 22, so carry the 4. What's pi again? 3.1? Never mind, don't worry about it. Yes, I only have 278 episodes to go to catch up with you guys. So,
it's close.
First of all, I wanted to start with the most memorable LOTRO Reporter episode. And probably comes as no surprise to you that was the episode I was on with Layanor and Rorg. Episode 226, Man Talk, now with real men. And it was a special time for me because when I started playing MMOs, the 3 podcasts that I found first was LOTRO Reporter, LOTRO Academy, and Casual Stroll to Mordor. So to actually be on LOTRO Reporter for the first time after I started podcasting was a very memorable experience, and I'm really grateful that you guys gave me the opportunity. The other thing that was really cool was that Layanor wanted to do something a little bit different. So we started off the episode like normal. We went into what we played last week and all that stuff. But then he veered off and actually let me do kind of a mini Beyond Boss Fights, which is my podcast, in the middle of LOTRO Reporter. And we actually picked a topic, and then I kind of mediated the discussion, which was really fun. So again, thank you so much for that. It was a great experience. It was so much fun to be on with Layanor and Rorg. And Carrie, I wish you were there, but I know that you were busy celebrating your birthday or something in a Scottish tavern somewhere. Second of all, I wanted to thank you guys and everybody at MMO Reporter for everything that you've done for the LOTRO community and continue to do, because it's such an important thing, the community within LOTRO, and what you guys do to continue the conversation, to bring the news to people, and to be a rallying point for those within the community is such an important thing. And it's so awesome that you've been able to do this over a number of years and over 300 episodes, even spanning multiple hosts, and the ball just continues to roll, and I think it's really important what you guys are doing there. Lastly, and really quickly, I wanted to kind of personally thank Layanor, Carrie, and Chris for your friendship and your encouragement for me as I started my podcasting a couple years ago, and you guys have really, in front of the scenes and behind the scenes, been very supportive and very encouraging. And for somebody who's jumping into this content creation thing cold, that's a very important thing to have kind of a support group there behind the scenes. So once again, LOTRO Reporter, congratulations on 300 episodes. As the cliche goes, here's to 300 more.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Braxwolf. And you should definitely go check out Beyond Boss Fights, and he's also got some more podcasts on his network as well. He's got a few shows that they're doing over there. The TGEN, the Gaming and Entertainment Network. So go check them out because they've got some pretty fantastic shows. I am a huge fan, as I'm sure many people will know, of Battle Bards. One of the biggest reasons, and I've told Sip this personally, I said that one of the biggest reasons we don't have a gaming music show on the network is because I don't think we could do better than Battle Bards, and if we can't do better than it, I just want to send everybody there because they're fantastic. But all their shows are good. Yeah. Any thoughts, Layanor, on that?
Braxwolf, thank you. I'll tell you how cool Braxwolf is. I was at a point, I was in California, and I was like absolutely broke, and was just like putting my heart and soul into the network at that time. I was flying through MMOs trying to do some reviews and stuff like that, and my hands were cramping so bad, constantly playing MMOs. He sent me a controller to ease up my hand.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice of him.
That's really cool.
So thank you, Brax.
Awesome. Carrie, anything before we move on to the next one?
I wasn't expecting these to make me cry. So hopefully the next one will not be, I know who sent it in, so I don't think it's going to make me cry.
Okay. Here's the next one from DJ Pimp Daddy.
DJ Pimp Daddy here from the XP Quest podcast. I would love to congratulate LOTRO Reporter for achieving your 300th episode, a true milestone far above almost every other gaming podcast I listen to. Please keep up the fantastic work in Layanor's absence. And on that note, to Layanor, I would like to congratulate you on failing to reach episode 1000. As for my favorite episode, I would definitely have to say it was the episode where I logged into my computer drunk one night to play games, and Layanor called me out of the blue and told me live on the air that I was a guest host on the LOTRO Reporter podcast. I don't think Carrie's forgiven you for that one, but I can't top that as my favorite episode. To sum up, LOTRO Reporter, congrats, Layanor, but, if you want to play some Trove later, look me up.
There was quite a few times. There was quite a few times where people were sick, and I'm like, get on my show.
I'm sure he meant it in the kindest possible way.
Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry, I'm gonna laugh for a while. Okay, we have some written ones as well. So let's go through here. Do you guys want to take turns reading them? Do you want me to read them? What do you want to do, Carrie?
Let's take turns.
Okay.
Len, are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with the Joe Yu, the first one. And he says, probably my favorite moment in LOTRO Reporter history was during Chris and Bill's Skirmish of Skirmishes, which was around episode 149. 13 minutes in, Chris's skirmish warrior, Genghis, who is very, very famous, by the way, starts doing amazing Genghis stuff, and I just about burst out loud in my workplace. I'd read Pineleaf's accounts of the warrior's poor AI decision-making, but had never seen it in such glorious fashion. Definitely worth rewatching. Good luck with the episode.
That was Asani's skirmish soldier, her warrior,
Mm-hmm.
and Genghis was for many episodes. Just he kind of took the same role that Steve does on MMO Reporter. That's moron Steve. But Genghis was just when something goes wrong, you blame it on Genghis.
Yeah.
All right, Layanor, why don't you take the next one? Thanks, Joe.
This one's from Bragg. Or Bragg. I never know which one.
Bragg.
I just know he likes beacons.
Yeah, he does.
Layanor, Carrie, and the gang, I wanted to chime in, congratulate you all for the upcoming milestone. It's a almost unfathomable achievement that I know took a lot of labor and love, hours from a lot of you folks. LOTRO Reporter certainly was one of the inspirations that helped ignite the torch that I used to light the beacons. So I owe you that too. So I owe that to you. There we go. As well as countless hours of entertainment over the years. Layanor will be missed, but I know that out there somewhere at the end of a long dusty road, there is a pair of pants, stretch pants, hopefully, waiting for him to don them and walk off into the sunset. Happy trails. I don't need stretch pants.
Please wear pants if you're going to be walking off into the sunset. Please.
That's a view we don't need.
It's bad enough I got a mental image of this right now.
Do you want to grab the PS there, Layanor?
Oh, PS. It's highlighted. Look at that. As a part of your celebration, if you kind could
I'm sure he's meant to say if you could kindly find a way.
If you
Go
could
ahead.
kindly find a way to include a few hairy rants, I would appreciate it very much. I especially miss the musical version reminding us all to calm the F down, which was always one of my favorites. It is timeless and still rings true today.
Calm the F down.
You know what? Funny story. Celeste, who does Guild Wars Reporter, was our minstrel columnist back when we had a written blog. Her kid, one of her kids said to the neighbor who was overreacting a little bit, she said, "You know what? You just need to
calm the F down."
No.
Absolutely, word for word. So there you go. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do David T here. Wonderful member of our chat room. Very, very often when we stream. Greetings and congratulations. 300 episodes. That's like 6 years. An incredibly long time for any podcast on any subject, let alone an MMO. There have been many great moments I have heard listening to your show, too many to choose a favorite. The show with all the conversation of the two hobbits, the April 1st show of CSTM Reporter, I believe he mentioned. I totally forgot about that one. We did a whole show, and Rick, I don't know if you ever heard this one, where we were CSTM Reporter, and it was a CSTM fan podcast.
Yeah.
And we just did the whole show as talking about what they talked about. It was wonderful.
I always wondered, did they know that
No.
you were going to do that?
No,
they had no idea.
No.
What did they ever provide feedback?
Yeah, they thought it was funny.
It's funny. Don't do it again.
It was all positive, rant-free, I believe it was.
Yes.
Hysterical. Don't ever do it again.
Yeah. But there's one bit of awesomeness which needs to be mentioned and can be summed up with one word. Genghis! Thanks for the podcast and hoping for at least another 6 years. There you go. Thanks so much to David T. I always say his name like that. He's okay with it. We've talked about it.
Okay, good.
We're chums. All right, Carrie, you want to get the last one here?
Yep. Hey all, I think I heard Layanor say that episode 300 will be his last with the network. If that is true, I hate to see you go. You bring a view to the game that isn't that common. Good luck in the future on all your endeavors. If the podcast is going to continue and you need some additional voices, I would be willing to step in with you to guest host until you can find a full-time host, at least once or twice. I've been playing the game since the last closed beta for SOA and have seen a lot. Tossif, formerly of Silverlode, now on Land Revol.
You know, I read that last sentence and I read it a little. I have seen a lot.
I have seen a lot.
That's just the way that I've
seen a lot.
Yep,
Yeah.
That's what me too.
I've seen a lot. We're scarred. Hey, so I think this is a good time to chat about it. Layanor will be leaving the show, unfortunately, and it's been, 100 and something episodes. You came on shortly after 150, right, Layanor? What was your first full-time episode?
Full-time episode was, I don't remember. It was about 2 or 3 episodes before Bill left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been like 160s maybe?
Yeah.
Right. And I was like actually pretty sad that Bill was leaving because he was the one that got me on the show in the first place.
Hey.
And, I'm sorry, Chris. And I was just kind of nervous because I wasn't really talking and, like doing a lot of explaining and stuff at the time. And I thought it was going to be a real bad show at that point because here's Chris, who's really experienced, and this other guy that just says yes, no. And when Bill left, Chris told me right away that he was actually talking to Carrie to come on the show. So I was like, great. At least we'll say yes, no, maybe. That's super great.
So the bottom line is it took 2 of us to replace Bill.
That's right. That Bill is that amazing. So I am sad to see you go, Layanor. I highly recommend that everybody goes to YouTube, checks out Layanor's Mind, your YouTube channel. You are the king of Let's Plays on there, and you are incredibly prolific in the amount of content that you produce. So everyone should go check it out, subscribe to his channel, and follow along to what he does, because it's fantastic stuff. And I'm sad to see you go. I am sad.
Thank you, Chris. I do like to, I would love to stop in and say hi every once in a while. So please leave the door open.
Absolutely. Quick, push him out.
Yeah, I got the lock.
I have keys.
And
Change the lock.
We'll talk a little bit about what the show's going to look like at the end of the show here. But sorry, 1 second. What? Oh, I just have this. We have one more file that's just been sent in. Apparently, it was a very battered container that it was held in, so I have no idea what this is about. I hope everyone doesn't mind, but I'm playing this dry, so I have no idea what it is. Let me just plug it in here to the computer and hope it works. All right, here we go.
Yep. I sure don't like moving all this stuff over to the new shire they built across the way. Why do we even have to do this? It doesn't seem to make sense. This shire is nice and quiet and peaceful. No one ever bothers me asking for help or anything. It gets a little lonely sometimes, I guess, but I think I like that more often than not. Who cares about all those empty houses anyways? We don't need no people around. All those empty houses just give me a place to hide my stuff. I know. It's the best place to hide all the stuff I find from the travelers that go through. Got my ward and shield here. You got anything? I got this banner that I stole from some armored up guy that looked like he was in charge. The look on his face when he couldn't find his little flag. Yep, those guys looking for adventure when all they need to do is stay home. Stay home, sit on the porch, enjoy a nice fine beer that some of the younger hobbits have brought for you. Yep. That's the life. Yep. Hey, do you remember that strange feller that always sat in those bushes? Yeah, the rock target. He was great for bouncing rocks off of. I know. That was my favorite hobby. Wasn't it? It was always kind of weird, I thought, that he never wore any pants ever. You could say he was almost a pantless wonder. I sure wondered why he didn't wear pants. Yep. We don't see him around too much anymore, do we? Not so much. That's too bad. I think that last rock must have scrambled his brains just one step too far. I think his brains were scrambled from the beginning. Yep. Let's keep moving our stuff. Yep.
Layanor, is there something you need to tell us?
Let's move on.
Well, that's our last bit for LOTRO Reporter episode 300.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot.
The weight of it is now sitting squarely on my shoulders. How long this has been. Quite a long time. That's kind of cool.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
I feel like Columbo. One more thing. So one of my favorite memories, and I just got to thinking about this because I was just getting stuff in order for PAX South and starting to think of, East and Prime and everything. One of the things I've always enjoyed, and Carrie, get a tissue.
Oh, boy.
Is that, maybe not everyone knows this, but you guys host a breakfast as well at PAX. And I have always loved that you guys have included me in that. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. That was really kind of a special feeling, especially this past year, having actually left LOTRO. To be included in it again was really great. So that's one of my fond memories of you guys.
Yeah. It's always great to catch up with you. Like I said, so open with everything that you've ever done, both in your work with Turbine and afterwards. So it's always a pleasure. Are you okay, Carrie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, so I think we'll take a couple seconds here to talk a little bit about the future, Carrie. What do you think?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
So what is our plan for December?
This will be the last live show in December. We're going to do the usual, oops, we said it again show, those bits. And then we're going to be doing our prediction show, and we'll have those pre-recorded. And then going on into January, Chris and I will be recording the show, and it's going to go to an every other week show.
I'm back.
Yeah, guys.
Sorry.
Chris is back.
I'm sorry. I'll apologize. I'm Canadian, right? I'm back to the show. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
sorry or sorry?
Sorry.
Yeah, on my rough.
Ending says the Carrie Show, horses and cosmetics. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then on the off weeks, unless Chris gets something scheduled in the slot, I'm planning on just streaming whatever I feel like streaming. Probably Lotro. Maybe, Rift or something like that. So you guys who are used to showing up at 7:30 on Tuesdays can continue to do so every Tuesday. And we'll do something. And I'll get lost in an MMO, so it'll be fun.
Oh, I have to say I'm very much looking forward to being back on the show. I miss Lotro. I miss talking about Lotro. And I need to talk about my bear.
Oh yeah,
my bear.
Yeah. Your bear.
And then we'll see how things go from there, and see if you'll let me back into the community of Lotro. All right, we have some prizes. So for those of you who are listening post live stuff, recorded on YouTube or whatever, you need to go to the MMO Reporter site. There's going to be a link if you're watching this on YouTube. There's a link in the comments below. Just find it, and it's going to be a link back to the show notes for this. And for those of you listening on your iDevices, your Androids, your websites, whatever, go to MMOReporter.com, or even if you go to LOTROReporter.com, it redirects you to the right page for Lotro, and you're going to leave a comment on here. We'll have 5,000 turbine point codes for those of you who make comments there. We'll pick people at random from those comments.
You didn't pause correctly, Chris. It's 1,000 turbine point codes.
Didn't I say that? 1,000? No.
It sounded like 5,000 turbine point codes.
5,000.
Yeah. You each
one comment.
You each get one turbine point, but we have 5,000 of them. We have 1,000 turbine point codes for those of you who comment, and for those of you listening live, stick around after we end the show, and we'll do some giveaways in the chat room here. Again, 1,000 point codes.
Yeah, there
Is that
we go.
better?
Yes.
All right, Carrie, do you want to end things off?
I do. I do want to thank very much Rick for joining us, and I was going to ask if there was anything that he would like to talk about what he's doing with Extra Life or anything like that, since he's, I'm glad he joined us, but, if he would like to plug anything, here's your time.
Yeah, sure, definitely. For those of you who don't know, and I would be shocked if anybody in the Lotro community didn't know about Extra Life, I'm the community manager for Extra Life, and we're actually wrapping up 2015. We're in our last few weeks of fundraising for the year, and we have raised, I think the last number I saw was right around 7.8 million.
Wow.
A year. So we're inching towards the $8 million mark. And I know some of you guys have actually contributed to that number. So thank you both for the fundraising and for the donations that you've made to various people. Every dollar helps, and it's incredible to see that, members of the Lotro community still support the charity in their own ways. And that's amazing. If you don't know what Extra Life is, you can go to extra-life.org and find out how you can actually play games to help heal sick and injured children in Children's Miracle Network hospitals throughout the U.S. and Canada. Thanks.
Awesome. I know I'm already thinking about what I want to do for next year. For this year, unfortunately, I had to DJ. I got a DJ gig. I'm going to turn down everything on Extra Life Weekend this year and be right in there. But I'm already thinking about what we want to do and get the community behind a really great project to help these really great cases. And I don't know what other hospitals do, but I know that BC Children's, which is the one I raise for, I get a thank you card. I get information every year, and I really like it about where the money is going. And it's really, really fantastic to make that. It makes a connection for me.
Definitely.
So.
You know, it's funny. I was on a call today with one of our hospitals, and I pointed out BC Children's and some other hospitals that do that. And, you know, as gamers, we like running up scores. So when we say we raised 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, it's kind of almost a score in our heads, right? Mm-hmm. And it does help to be able to look at it and say, this is what that money did. This was the actual impact that, you know, what you did had on the hospital and on the kids and everything. So, it's really great what they do out there.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Carrie, I was jumping in there. Go ahead.
All right. So, Layanor, did you have anything you wanted to close out with?
Sorry.
Don't grab my shirt, Chris. Stop. Thank you guys. Thank you, Chris, especially for opening up the door and letting me come on to the show. It's been quite a trip. I've always had problems talking and explaining, like I said earlier, and I feel a lot more confident in that now, and I'm able to actually have conversations with just normal everyday people, something I've never been able to do before. I've always been very shy and very quiet. I still am a little bit, but I'm a lot better at this point. So just by doing the show, that's actually helped out my life quite a bit. So thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
And
Carrie, you're awesome.
Thank you.
And Sapience, I love you.
Aw, I love me too.
All right. And if they're looking for you, they can find you at layanorsmind.com?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where they can get a hold of all. And Layanor at hellokitty.com if you want to email him.
Yes. Oh, I don't have a website, though. It's youtube.com/
Layanor's Mind? Oh, Layanor. Okay.
Yes. So just Google Layanor or Layanor's Mind. You'll find either my Twitter, Tumblr, or Google Plus accounts. And like Harry said, Layanor at hellokitty.com is my email. So you can get a hold of me there. I ain't kidding.
He's not.
Oh, my God.
He's really not.
Shall we play the outro music, Carrie?
Before we do that, I do have to steal from you and say thank you guys very much for downloading and listening, and we do hope to see you in game.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOReporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.